The physical evidence says that things are, at minimum, extremely fishy, and could be worse than that.
This whole thing really has been a mess. Absolute mess.
Welcome back to the second hour of the Thursday segment of the Liberty Lineup radio show. This is Ben McClintock with Enoch Moore of DefendingUtah.org. And we are the naked truth, thinking right and wrong, not right and left. Today, we'll be talking about, in the second hour, was there voter fraud at the Republican convention? What about a child caseworker praising a child rapist? Today, the second hour of the Liberty Lineup. We'd like to thank our show sponsor, formerly EOS Mobile, now Patriot Mobile, rebranded to reflect who you, our listeners, are. Patriot Mobile, the only cell phone service that gives you the peace of mind that your monthly bills are supporting only conservative candidates and causes of your choice, including this show. Call 877-367-7524. Remember, be among the first 10 callers during the show today, and you'll get a special offer if you mention the Liberty Lineup radio show. Call right now, 877-367-7524. That's 877-367-7524. Or you can go to patriotmobile.com for more information. Just a reminder that you can also listen to Liberty Lineup online by downloading the K-Talk app to your smartphone or at k-talk.com. Great reception wherever you are. The Naked Truth segment is also on YouTube, the Defending Utah channel, as well as Defending Utah's channel at iHeartRadio. Become part of our grassroots movement by signing up at libertylineup.com, where you can also make a donation to keep this radio show on the air. Help us spread liberty around the world. So before we went to the break, we were cut off.
We were in the middle. We were playing a clip, and we didn't realize we were coming on a break.
These dang clocks. Okay.
Yep.
So there's what's her name again? There's this gay activist that is speaking to this group of people, telling people that they're not telling the truth when we're talking about the gay agenda. What is this gay agenda really all about?
The activist's name was Masha Gessen.
Go ahead.
I agree. It's a no-brainer that we should have the right to marry. But I also think equally that it's a no-brainer that the institution of marriage should not exist. So that
not just by yourself.
That causes my brain some trouble.
Cheering.
And part of it, why it causes me trouble, is because fighting for gay marriage generally involves lying about what we're going to do with marriage when we get there. Because we lie that the institution of marriage is not going to change. And that is a lie. The institution of marriage is going to change, and it should change. And again, I don't think it should exist. I don't like taking part in creating fictions about my life. That's sort of not what I had in mind when I came out 30 years ago.
Okay. So she's admitting, and the crowd backed her up, that they didn't believe that marriage should exist, that the gay agenda is packed full of lies because they can't tell people what the real end goal is, or otherwise they could never get to their end goal. So,
and she sort of has this twisted conscience about, I hate lying about it.
Right.
Like,
what are you going to do, though? You can't. The ends justify the means. You got to lie to get the agenda through. So back, just a couple of weeks ago in Salt Lake City, the city council on April 19th voted to name 900 South in Salt Lake City after the child rapist Harvey Milk.
Now let's connect this to what we just heard, the gay agenda, and the activist, what she said about destroying the institution of marriage, and now we have Salt Lake's mayor, who is on that team.
Who's the first openly gay mayor.
The first openly one. That's another conversation. And and now we're seeing shenanigans like this, like renaming streets after
forwarding that same agenda that they said they had to lie about. And so we have this Bryce Hurst, who is a child caseworker for the Utah Division of Child and Family Services, testifying in favor of naming 900 South after the child rapist Harvey Milk. He said, quote, "Salt Lake City is one of the gayest cities in America," end quote. Okay? So later on in his testimony, this Bryce Hurst, who works for, again, the Utah Division of Child and Family Services, he said that that Harvey Milk was a personal hero of his. Okay? Who's Harvey Milk? Milk was, of course, one of the first openly homosexual mayors of San Francisco. And he had his inclination was towards little boys 14 to 19 years old. I would call that a pedophile, but I guess the official name is a ebophile. I don't know how to pronounce that, but
ebophile.
So he preferred boys under the age of 18. He was a 33-year-old who had a runaway boyfriend. When he was 33, his boyfriend was 16 years old.
Now, I think hebephile was right, isn't it? But you know what? I don't know if that's even a new delegation. Like, it used to just all be pedophiles, and now they've like separated the classification to sort of soften it,
right?
So that it's okay.
At least they weren't under 14.
They weren't an infantophile,
right.
which is another classification they came up with,
right?
To like soften the structure, sort of,
right. And so he is. And so when I call Harvey Milk a rapist, that is a legal term. Harvey Milk is a rapist, and the Salt Lake City is naming their streets after a rapist, after a proud rapist that raped little boys. And now we have employees of a division. This guy's in charge of being over children, protecting the children of Utah. And he is calling Harvey Milk, this child rapist, a personal hero of his.
What does that say about CPS and who they are hiring? That's the question.
That's the question.
I won't answer it, but we should all ask that question in our minds.
And I really believe this tolerance, this idea of we need to be tolerant of this. This is not what I mean. This when you abuse others, the abused often become abusers later on. That's just a fact.
Right.
And so being tolerant of this abuse, it's beyond tolerance. It's praising. It's putting up on a pedestal, naming a street after a child rapist, and encouraging this, and then having people that in the state of Utah are in charge of caring for our youth, calling this child rapist a personal hero of his. That's just extremely, extremely disturbing.
Very disturbing. Let that really sink in. Just maybe you don't want to. It's kind of creepy. It gets creepy if you let it sink in, but it is the reality. This is the evidence in front of us of what this caseworker is saying and testifying.
Officially testifying to the city council in favor of naming a street after a pedophile because this pedophile is his personal hero. Okay? So we hope you'll check out that article and the documentation to that at defendingutah.org. Now, when we came back from the break, we talked about how, we asked the question, was there voter fraud at the Republican convention? And we have Senate candidate for District 23, Heather Gardner, on the line with us to discuss that issue. Heather, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You worked for CPS for a while, didn't you?
I did.
Did you come across anything like that?
I did not. I worked for them fresh out of college as a child protective service worker, but I did not run into anything like that.
Pretty crazy stuff. So,
yeah.
So tell us a little bit about what happened. You lost by by one vote at the convention, correct? Did I understand that correctly?
They're now saying they believe it's 2 votes.
Okay.
I lost by 0.6 of a percentage point.
So they believe? They don't even know. That we think that maybe you probably lost, so just don't call us again.
This whole thing really has been a mess. Absolute mess.
Wow.
So what happened, while we were casting ballots in the first round of a multi-county race, there were there was a ballot volunteer that came to me and said, I just saw somebody cast 2 ballots. And immediately after that, they called, basically put a hold on the election. And we picked up and moved to a second room. And here's what's weird, they re-credentialed or accepted 5 new voters that were not in the first round.
So we had the first round of voting. There was a discrepancy, obviously voter fraud, because there were more votes than credentialed people. And now they have the second vote, and they're allowing more people to be able to vote in the election the second time than they allowed the first time.
Yes. So in the first round, they had 2 sign-in sheets, one on 2 different tables, as well as ballots laying out on the table. They were not checking IDs or credentials. We were just initialing our name and picking up a ballot. So originally the state party told us that it was poor organization. However, we have since audited the information and saw that the number of votes cast versus number of people credentialed, there were 3 extra votes cast in the first election.
In the first election, not 5?
3 in the first election.
In the first. I thought it was 5. Okay.
First.
Yeah, in the first election.
Okay.
In the second election, they picked us up, moved us to another room, and did not release any of the numbers from the first election as far as who got how many votes, what percentage, or what happened. All they said is that there was a discrepancy. They picked us up, moved us to another room, and added 5 additional voters that said that they weren't able to credential. Then we cast our.
So wait, hold on. Let me make sure we get this clear. In the second election, they added 5 new people that weren't credentialed, that they couldn't credential.
Well, that said they were either lost or weren't able to participate
from
in
the first time. Okay.
Round, and supposedly they were credentialed. That's what we were told.
Gotcha.
So we cast our second ballot, and I was told that I lost by just a small percentage of 1%.
Less than 1%, about a 0.5%.
Less than 1%, right. I honestly, at that point, was at peace with the election.
Yeah.
And as soon as I left the room, I started getting text messages and email messages from delegates that said that they felt like there were so many irregularities in the election and that something just wasn't right.
Wow. Okay, we've got to head to a break now, but we're going to talk more about. There's a lot more information that we need to get to on this that we'll talk about when we get back from the break. This is Ben McClintock with my co-host,
Enoch Moore
of DefendingUtah.org, and this is the Thursday segment of the Liberty Lineup Radio Show on AM 630 K-Talk.com. For more information about this topic, go to our Facebook page, the Liberty Lineup Radio Show. Like and share, and after the break, we'll continue our conversation with Heather Gardner, who is the candidate for Senate in Senate District 23. And going over the voter fraud, the discrepancies, what's going on there went on at the Republican convention this previous weekend. Right back after the break with Ben McClintock and Enoch Moore. Hey, this is Ben McClintock with Enoch Moore of DefendingUtah.org, and we are back on K-Talk Radio, AM 630, K-Talk.com with the Liberty Lineup Naked Truth segment every Thursday. We think right and wrong, not right and left, and we are sponsored, of course, by Patriot Mobile, the cell phone service for conservatives. And we are speaking with Heather Gardner, a candidate for State Senate District 23, talking about the voter fraud that happened at the convention, at the Republican convention, and how, so just kind of recap for everybody, there was a first vote, and they had 3 more voters than those that were credentialed. And so they went to have a second vote where they added 5 new people that didn't vote the first time. Right, Heather? Am I?
Right.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Right. So, as I said, we got the results of the second vote, and they told us the number of credentialed voters versus the number of credentialed voters in the first round. And if you were to add 5 voters to the first round numbers, it didn't add up correctly to equal the number of voters who voted in the second round. So delegates started emailing me and saying, if we only credentialed 5 more voters, why are the numbers different? And in
Common
the
Core
second
math,
round,
maybe.
Yeah, they did not check our IDs. They had us do a standing roll call vote, like they called out names and had us stand up. And they marked people's wristbands when they cast the ballots. But again, there was no double checking to make sure that everybody in the room was in fact who they were saying they were based off of a voice roll call, nor double checking to see if they were on the, if they were state delegates. So in the process, I filed a contest and I emailed it during the convention. I followed the convention rules that said you can contest. And the elections chair was busy counting national delegate, elections. So I waited around until 6 p.m. My vote took place at 7:30 in the morning.
Holy cow.
So I waited until the
They
very
were too busy
end.
to talk to you for 12 hours?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they sent me to the parliamentarian of the party, and supposedly she was the multi-county elections chair, but not the convention chair.
Okay.
She brought the ballots out, and we saw that they were not sealed in any way, shape, or form with tape or with a signature. They were just a manila envelope with a little bracket on it. She was about to open it up. I had a witness there, and we said, hey, wait a minute. We, according to convention rules, are supposed to go through an elections chair to do this. You can't just open up the ballots, pop them out, and review them. That's not the process. So she took the ballots, and I watched her. I was sitting in the audience a couple hours later. She handed them to the elections chair, who licked the envelope and sealed it. So the first time those ballots were sealed was at 6:18 p.m.
So 11 hours after the vote took place.
Well, the beginning of, I don't know the exact hour of when our second vote took place, but it was quite, maybe like 8:30 a.m.
So, but many, many hours.
It's the 5 or 6 hours
many
later.
Hours. Right. So what happened from there is that delegates emailed in witness statements. I believe there were 12 total witness statements that came in from delegates, as well as a ballot counter and a ballot volunteer. And 2 of the witness statements stated that they saw someone pick up a ballot, tear it up, and throw it away in the first round. So that was another discrepancy. And so in the process, we have been back and forth to the state office. I've actually retained an attorney who is looking at the technicalities of the rules and the parliamentary procedure, because somehow my email of the contest got leaked out to Senator Weiler. And it had my personal email address on it, as well as some other people's personal email addresses. And it got forwarded to all the delegates and posted on social media. So somehow from the state office, my email was leaked to Senator Weiler, as well as the
and
first...
he in turn has leaked it out to the public
Right. Mm-hmm.
For whatever reason. And
in the first round results, he claims he won in the first round and that he had all the percentage numbers, which the first round was null and void. There was voter fraud that was obvious. But he's leaked out to the public that he won in both rounds.
How does he know that?
Good question. I don't know, because I did not know the numbers from the first round. I was never told that. So the other discrepancy is the state sent out a letter saying they investigated it with the elections chair and the elections committee and the parliamentarian. They sent out a 6-bullet pointed letter saying that the contest did not hold and everything was fine. So Senator Weiler in turn forwarded that email to all the delegates, and the letter had my home address on it, which, granted, I filed for office. Someone can look up that information. It's public information of someone who filed for office.
Right.
But now you have my personal email address plus my home address being posted on Facebook and Twitter, which on Twitter I have a global audience of over 5,000 followers. So all that information is now out there, and I've asked him to remove it.
You have to tell us how to do that.
Yeah, hasn't been removed. So, and we found more discrepancies since we've been reviewing the records, a lot more discrepancies.
Well, that's something interesting that I heard Blake Cousins, who was a delegate down from down in Cedar City, who said that he saw a ballot just kind of left out there and told somebody about it, and I guess they said they were going to take care of it. So it was really it seems like it was really sloppily done, either whether it was on purpose or just malfeasance.
Right. Yes. I mean, these are all volunteers, and I know how hard it is to run an election, and I'm sure there were lots of human errors made. But at this point, we have found someone who voted in the second round who was not a member of our district.
Wow.
So we know of at least one person who voted in the second round
who
is not.
Can you release that name, or?
I can't.
Okay.
But I can tell you that somebody did vote who's not a delegate, which brings, if it really is a difference of 2 votes, that brings it down to a 1 vote difference.
Okay.
And we have found people that were marked as not attending the convention, meaning they did not credential downstairs, who voted in the second round.
So they weren't even delegates?
So I mean, I don't know who they were or if it was a discrepancy, but the state shows they did not check in as attendees at the convention. They did not credential, but they did show up on the voter sheet in the second round.
So if they didn't show up, somebody voted in their name.
Could be.
So just to be clear for our listeners then, this is not the person who lost is just a sore loser and says, hey, there's voter fraud, no fair, right? You were even at peace with it at one point where you're like, okay, I guess that's how it turned out. But so many people came to you with eyewitness accounts and evidence of things that looked funny and things that were wrong that it would just made sense to take it further, and you're finding more and more discrepancies and eyewitnesses coming forward that something really shady did likely happen.
Right. Yeah.
And then the physical evidence, not just the eyewitness testimony, but you're saying that the physical evidence says that things are at minimum extremely fishy, and could be worse than that.
Right. Exactly. So it could have just been sloppy record keeping, which maybe it was, but there's really no way to tell at this point.
But when you mix all, like if it was all by itself, if it was an isolated, if that was the only thing that was wrong, it would be easy to dismiss that. But when you have that on top of the other things all coming together, it paints a picture that it wasn't done on accident, is what it seems like to me, at least. I don't know if you want to say that, but that's what it seems like to me.
Well, that's what some of the delegates and witnesses felt like. And I felt that to honor the process, if nothing else, to honor the process and the delegates, that we needed to at least audit the paperwork and the ballots and the eyewitness statements. Because you don't want people saying, well, that was a complete joke, or my vote doesn't matter.
Right.
We had 2 delegates that emailed me that said they were not able to vote, either because they couldn't find the room or weren't notified. So
people were kept out of the process when they moved it. They didn't let all the delegates know where to go.
Right. There was no loud speaker announcement, to my knowledge, or no sign put on the door that says we've moved to a different room. So, I am just going off of people's statements that they emailed me, and I forwarded that all on to the state party. My concern is that the state party told me yesterday they are going to destroy the ballots and the credential sheets and all the voting information from my round that was in that manila envelope tomorrow.
Why?
I don't know.
If it's being contested, you would think that they would have to keep it until the investigation was over.
Right, absolutely.
Well, they've said that they've issued their statement on the contest. So they gave me a chance to look at it yesterday, and they've told us that they're going to destroy it tomorrow, even though we're still in the process of analyzing all the data that we received last night at 6 p.m.
Did you get photos or copies of all the stuff they're going to destroy?
No, they would not allow us to have any electronic devices, either phones or anything like that. We had to put them on a table. So we requested copies and photographs, and were denied that request.
So it seems like there would be a cover-up involved with the party. Otherwise, what would be the reason for not allowing you to do that?
I don't know. It would be nice to have copies of that, or at least, I found photos so that we can continue to analyze the information.
To be able to prove that, do we have a list of all of the delegates that are shown as voting?
We have some credential sheets that were in the room that people initialed, and then in the second roll call vote, they made marks next to the people's names. Mm-hmm. So we have that, and then I was given a spreadsheet of who the state delegates are that checked in. In other words, they were credentialed at the desk downstairs, showing that they were an attendee at the convention. And that's where some of the discrepancies are starting to show up, is that there are people that voted in my race according to the green credential sheets in the room that did not show up as attendees at the convention.
And then you've got people calling you and telling you that they've seen, ballots ripped up, that there were ballots being left around, that they weren't told where to go to, they couldn't vote because when they moved it, they didn't announce where it was being moved to. So you have a lot of these things mixed together that show that something's really wrong.
Right.
So do you have any evidence of who would be involved in this? Would Senator Weiler be involved in this? Is this somebody else kind of acting without his knowledge? Can you tell, is there any indications of what direction that would go in?
I have no idea. They've not released the name. They do know the person that participated in voter fraud in the first round, at least one person, because there was an eyewitness that watched him cast more than one ballot. That name has not been released. So we've got
we've got a person that cast more than one ballot, and we have somebody that isn't even that wasn't even in the district vote in that race as well.
In the second round,
the second round.
So the question for that guy is who told him to cast two ballots? Because that was the whole foundation for saying, we got to do it again.
And then who told the other guy that doesn't even live in the district to vote in your race?
Right. So I have not been released any of that information. What's concerning to me and disconcerting is that supporters of Senator Weiler and even an officer in our party has put on social media basically insinuating that the cheating was as a result of my campaign. So
what evidence are they presenting any evidence, or are they just slandering and they should be taken to court?
Just slandering. There's no evidence. I have not been given any evidence.
So you said you retained a lawyer. Can the lawyer tell the party that they can't destroy any of the evidence till the investigation's over?
Let's hope so, because if not, everything will be destroyed tomorrow.
Well, then let this recording be evidence of the testimony that they're about to destroy evidence at a minimum.
Yeah.
In a contested race that party officials are slandering you publicly.
When all you're doing is trying to follow the process and just do an appropriate
that just
authorized audit.
That doesn't even make any sense. So I'm going to commit fraud, and I'm going to do an investigation that will bring the truth of the matter to light, that if I committed fraud, it would expose me. That's just moronic, first of all.
Yeah.
And then secondly, it's slander, and they could be charged for it.
Well, and I should clarify, it's not state party officers that are doing this. It's a county party.
Okay.
So a Davis County party officer that participated in the race. So that is what is occurring. Emails have gone out to delegates. Posts have been made on social media. So at this point, it is making me look like I did something shady when all I did was contest the race at the request of my delegate.
That's it looks like people that are scared. It's an old communist tactic to accuse others of what you yourself are doing. And if anybody actually has a brain that can look at that, is somebody that's going to commit fraud going to tell you to investigate the fraud? That's just stupid.
Yeah. Yes.
And so we've got just a couple of seconds left. Is there anything you want to hold on? Is there anything more we need to get into, or is there anything anybody can do before we go to the break?
I just think, regardless of how this turns out, the state party needs to look at how they run multi-county elections and make sure that it's consistent and valid. And I would ask the delegates to continue to pursue truth.
Absolutely. If any of our listeners have any evidence or are a witness to any shenanigans going on either side, let Heather know, let us at Defending Utah and at the Liberty Lineup know, and we will be making sure to get that out. Thanks for being on with us today, Heather.
Yes, thank you so much.
Talk to you soon.
Okay.
This is Ben McClintock with Enoch Moore, and this is the Thursday segment of the Liberty Lineup radio show, The Naked Truth, where we think right and wrong, not right and left. For more information about this topic, go to our Facebook page. This is Ben McClintock on K-Talk Radio, AM 630, k-talk.com, with the Liberty Lineup Naked Truth segment with my co-host,
Enoch Moore.
We're all of defendingutah.org, and we have a special guest with us, our another Liberty Lineup co-host, Sherilyn Eager.
Thanks so special.
Coming in the studio with us.
It's good to be here with you, too.
We are so
Great
excited.
Show today.
Thank you. And we are, of course, sponsored by Patriot Mobile. Join our grassroots network to get our updates and alerts. Just go to libertylineup.com. That's libertylineup.com. Sign up and support Liberty today. That's libertylineup.com. You can also like and share our Facebook page, the Liberty Lineup Radio Show. And before we went to the break, we were talking with Heather Gardner, one of the candidates for the Republican nomination for Senate District 23 against the sitting Senator Todd Weiler, and the possible fraud that went on there. Well, it looks, I don't know if, I guess I'll be legally safe and call it possible fraud. There's a lot of different things that look really weird.
And we have that archived, and we will get that up on K-Talk archive and on the Defending Utah YouTube channel. If you missed the whole story about how it all played out, if you were a delegate and you want to hear what happened and see if you also saw something, that'll be on our YouTube channel or the K-Talk archives.
If you see something, say something.
If you see something, say something. We are Homeland Security.
Well, let us know, please. Like, if you're a witness to something fishy at the convention, let us know. We've got we've got a caller that has a question about that. Lisa, you're on with Ben and Enoch and Sherilyn.
Hi. Hey, I just want to ask you guys a question because I don't know the answer, and all the people that I've asked, they don't know the answer either. So we thought maybe you might know the answer.
Great.
And here's my question. We have super delegates that go to the convention in Cleveland this summer.
The national convention versus the state convention we were talking about, right?
Right. And what we wanted to know is we tried to find out who some of the super delegates are. We only found out that the governor is one of them. So that meant that we had 39 to go because all we could find out was that we would have 40 super delegates from Utah that would go to the convention. But it doesn't say how those people get to be the super delegate and who are they. And I looked for, a few hours trying to find out on the Internet, and I made a couple calls. And if you guys could answer that, and I will hang up and listen to your answer off air. Thank you very much.
Thank you for calling, Lisa. Call back anytime. Super delegates, that is...
Sherilyn, do you know how that works with super delegates?
Well,
and
the
40?
super delegates, for example, in Utah, the delegates that are automatically seated are the party chairman and then the national committeeman and committeewoman. So those three.
And the governor?
No.
Or that wasn't automatic?
No.
Well, the governor is one, though, right?
No. Well,
that's what she just said.
That's what she just
yes.
said. Okay.
Yes, but he was
So those are the
elected.
automatics.
Those are the automatic ones, okay? The four.
No,
No,
the ones you
not
first
the
mentioned.
governor.
Not the governor, right. The other
Right.
ones you mentioned were the automatics.
Yes, just the three.
Okay.
Correct.
And then you have two from every congressional district. So
That
that
automatic?
totals, no, they
just-
have to be from those
okay,
districts.
gotcha.
So, but they're elected by the people in those districts.
Gotcha.
And so that's 8. So you have 3 plus 8, that's 11. And then you have the rest of them of the 40 are the at-large.
So how does somebody find out who those people are?
Well, you can go to utah.gop, and it's posted.
GOP.com, .gov, .org?
.gop. They have their own.
So Utah.gop.
Utah.gop.
Gotcha. Okay.
Utah.gop.
Okay.
Ooh. Yes.
If
and
you want your own top-level domain on the Internet, you have to sign a blood oath to the Gadian robbers. And you get your own top-level domain. YouCanBeA.com.
there you go.
That's what we should have done.
Yeah. So anyway, interesting, though, and I posted a little video on the Liberty Lineup radio show on Facebook. is that the Diebold system of scanning, the votes, is one of the ones under investigation right now for its veracity. And that's what we use here in Utah. And interesting that one of the national delegates from Congressional District 4 registered 0 votes. And she's kind of a well-known person.
Right.
And so she said, I know I voted for myself.
I got at least one.
So, they had to send it back through again. And then it came out that she was one of the winners.
Wow.
So, they didn't do a recount anywhere else. And you just wonder, when those races were very, very close like that,
right.
I'm a paper ballot girl. That's me. I'm sorry. It's far better to do the manual counting.
And then you have people from all 3 sides to watch it to make sure nothing funny's
you have your
going
poll
on.
watchers there. But this little video shows how the Diebold system, like with Enoch here, he's the computer geek amongst us, and he could probably reprogram that little card.
Sure. Well, I've never looked at it, but I just generally speaking, any
he just
technology
knows he's that awesome that he can do that.
Any technology can be compromised if you study it and understand how it works. And at the low level, you can hack anything. So
and this little video is very short. It shows exactly how they did it. And some of the people in the room were so upset about it. One woman was in tears to think that, our elections could be fraudulent. Could be.
Well, and there's been I've seen testimonies of people that have said that they've that they were programmers and that they fiddled with it. And
that's available online on YouTube. You can look for "programmer testifies against voter fraud" or something like that. Mm-hmm. And it's a video of a programmer who testified in court that he was given instructions to specifically write the code for the software so that it could be flipped 5149 to whatever candidate you choose.
Yeah.
That was in Florida. That was I don't know if that was Florida specific, if it was just one election, or if that's proliferated to other systems. I don't know. But that testimony is on video from an actual case.
Well, and you guys are too young, but way back when Bush 1 was running, we had the Chad
I remember that.
in Florida.
Yeah. That was Bush 2, in Florida.
You remember it.
The hanging Chads.
Yeah. The hanging Chads, yeah. We used to use those in Utah.
Yeah, well, either way, we had 2... They were both CFR, and they were both Skull and Bone. So
globalist A versus globalist B. But
yes. Well, anyway.
But it makes it look like there's a difference, and so that people get all excited about it. And
it's a system that has been compromised and perverted because we've departed from the Constitution, and we have these parties.
Exactly.
We talked about that on the show on Tuesday. Yeah. But anyway, here we are, and I received a letter from the Sheriff's Association, and Robert Decker is the president. Now, he is the sheriff in Millard County, where Davy Bundy and his family live.
Down there with Delta.
In Delta, yes. And so here I got on their list, I guess, because I was so very supportive of their endorsement of HB 276, right? Whoa. So now they're trying to get my money. Anyway.
Is that how they got your information?
Must have been, because, I've got them on my email list. They get my emails.
Funny.
So now they're all in touch with me. But anyway, the reason I'm mentioning this is because this is the sheriff that did not know that the FBI was in his county.
If he's telling the truth.
He says he
if
doesn't
he's
know.
telling the truth.
Yeah, right.
And if he did know, or if he didn't know, and if he didn't know, why hasn't he done what he needed to do? Seriously. And so we're at a place right now where we need to start gathering around our sheriffs, in my opinion, and helping them know that we're going to support them if they're going to do the right thing. Because right now, the Bundys, Ryan and Davy down in Nevada, have now just had a terrible thing happen to their case. It has been determined to be a complex case. They are going to be sitting in jail now until February.
A
minimum. And the procedures that they are using, postpone.
So the Constitution...
They could be there for 3 years.
Just before their trial, even.
No speedy trial.
Well, right. That's what I was going to say. The Bundys were standing up for the Constitution against the federal government who's violating it. And now the federal government in the case is now violating the Constitution even more.
Exactly. And so they go into solitary confinement. All right, everybody needs to know.
They are constantly forgotten to be fed, supposedly forgotten.
Right. That's right. And everybody needs to know what to do about this. I have posted the status of all of these prisoners on the Liberty Lineup radio show. It's pinned at the top. You can see who they are, where they are. They need your support. Write them letters. Secondly, you need to call Senator Mike Lee and Congressman Chris Stewart, because those are Davy Bundy's representatives here in Utah. You call 202-224-3121. 202-224-3121. And then next Friday evening at 7 p.m., and that is May 6th, we are going to get to hear from Larry Pratt, who is the president of Gun Owners of America. And it's going to be one in Utah County at the Orem
Boy Scout
place,
meeting,
the Boy Scout. Yeah, and the other one is in Salt Lake. And I know we're running up against the clock here right now. Let's see if I can spit this out.
It's okay. We still got 3 minutes.
Enough.
But for our listeners, again, we mentioned it earlier in the show, but for listeners, I really hope you will write to the patriots in prison, those political prisoners. If they go to National Stand By Me for Liberty, that's all one word, not the number 4, but FOR, nationalstandbymeforliberty.com. It'll get you all the information you need to write them the letters.
That's good. So either one of those places, the Liberty Lineup or
is it on the Liberty Lineup as well? Great.
Yeah, because I work with them.
Great.
So we're all doing the same things here. So we're just trying to, social network everything.
Yeah.
But next Friday evening, May 6th, if you are in the Salt Lake area, Bountiful, or nearby, this is a great location. We're going to be at the Utah Health Center at 7 p.m. to hear from Gun Owners of America. Was it Larry Pratt?
Yeah.
And the address is 1755 West Sequoia Vista Circle, Suite 3D. And if you want to know exactly where that is, it's I-215 in California. It's just 2 blocks off. Really, really easy to get to. And so if you want to get that information, go to Liberty Lineup, sign up there, like us. Go to libertylineup.com, sign up, and you will be on our list to get information. And we'll talk about it more tomorrow. And tomorrow, by the way, on the show is going to be Tom DeWeese. He's a national expert on Agenda 21. It's not called that anymore. What is it? Agenda 2030.
Agenda 2030.
Yes. So he's going to give us.
So they don't want it now just for the whole 21st century. We got a date in mind. We got 15 years.
Oh, they're always thinking ahead. So yes, 2030. Here we go. And so he's going to give us the update on what President Obama did to us at the recent meetings, and what we need to do about it. And
awesome.
It's going to be alarming, and everybody needs to wake up in America. That's all I can say.
We need to start acting instead of acting on something, instead of just hearing about it. I've said it a million times. I don't want to be the most informed person in the concentration camp. Things go to pot, and we can be all slaves, and we can say, you know what, I knew about it before you did. Who cares? We gotta use this information to do something about it. And we hope that if you're going to the Liberty Lineup Facebook page and our website, that we have those action items that you can take to be able to do something.
We're all tied to the hip.
Yeah.
Defending Utah, Liberty Lineup, and now the Stand By Me for Liberty.
Yeah.
We're all networking together.
And we need to take that action as people. I hope our listeners are doing something about it. So we're running up there. We're almost out of time. Is there anything else that we wanted to make sure and let our listeners know about?
Just to know that that Highland meeting is also happening simulcast. We're simulcasting this.
Both in Utah and Salt Lake County for the first time.
Yes, from Salt Lake and Utah County at the Boy Scout office. So you'll be getting email. If you are on my list, you'll get an email on it.
And so this will be something that's happening regularly now. We're going to be teaming up with that group that used to be called, it's the Highland meeting, but it doesn't mean Highland anymore. But teaming up with them so that folks in Utah and Salt Lake County can team up and get those same speakers. So appreciate everybody listening. Special thanks to our show sponsor, Patriot Mobile. And tomorrow we have, again, Sherilyn will be on talking about with Tom DeWeese. Mm-hmm. And this is the Naked Truth segment where we think right and wrong, not right and left. This has been McClintock with Enoch Moore. We'll be back next Thursday, 10 to noon.